let's talk about Henry Armstrong. People saying that Terence Crawford is disrespectful for comparing his jump up in weight class to fight Canelo Alvarez, which would be 2 weight classes, but kind of people look at it as 3 because he only had 1 fight at 154. Henry Armstrong is the only champion boxer I know that hold 3 major world titles. I thought it was middleweight, but it was featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. He held all 3 titles simultaneously at the same time. That's never been done before. I believe he may even jumped up to middleweight. That's when it was only 8 weight classes. So when you start talking about supers and juniors, that's fake. That's not real weight classes. It's built-in catch weight. So when they put catch weights on top of catch weights, I believe that becomes an issue, in my opinion. But, original 8, I don't know all 8. I know featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, and I believe bantamweight was in there. I don't know what's below bantamweight, actually flyweight or some stuff like that. But so Crawford did an interview with somebody and saying that he on some Henry Armstrong type ish, and now you got these people who don't have the same skin color as Henry Armstrong and Terence Crawford trying to say disrespect. That's disrespectful. But when Ryan Garcia missed weight versus Devin, Ryan Garcia said all that racist shit about black people, that wasn't disrespectful. That was trolling. That was trolling. When T.O. said all this disrespectful shit about black people, that wasn't disrespectful. This was trolling. But this is where you non-blacks draw the line at disrespectful. Like, once again, this is a B&B conversation, black and black conversation. There was no Mexicans in this conversation outside of Canelo, but we talking about Henry Armstrong and Terence Crawford. Now, he also said they put him top 3, and I talk about that pound for pound all the time, but it's not y'all conversation to have. Y'all don't have nobody as great as Henry Armstrong. When you start talking about the top 5 fighters of all time, top 10, ain't no Mexican up there unless y'all claim Roberto Duran, but y'all don't claim Roberto Duran. Let's keep it funky. Y'all don't claim no Roberto Duran. When you start going through that top 10, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, when you start going through them, I say Sugar Ray Leonard, Henry Armstrong, when you start getting into them, Roy Jones Jr., you know what I'm saying? When you start kind of getting into that, Larry Holmes, Joe Louis, some people like Lennox Lewis, whatever. Real talk. You start getting Pernell Whitaker, you start getting into there, y'all can't be found. Now, somebody had a comment to me. I guess Bill had made a comment, or I think Bill made a comment, Bill Haney, and somebody told me, I keep his name anonymous, that, Bill said that it was a separate, they rate black fighters different from Mexicans. Absolutely they do. And I had to tell them like this, and it made sense. And I didn't get offended by that. Shout out to all the real Mexicans out there. They don't, they ain't on that bull job. I don't get mad about that because, of course, when you known for dominating a sport historically or currently, the scales becomes more steeper. I was watching a clip where Herman Edwards, he played for the Eagles back in the day, but he ended up coaching. Y'all remember Herman Edwards, be on ESPN coach. And he said that, people would treat the Eagles like a gentleman when they used to beat them or they played tough, and we loved the Eagles. We said when they became the top rooster, I'm paraphrasing, when they became the top rooster in the hen house, everybody hated them. It wasn't it was a good game. When they started beating and competing and beating everybody up, people, didn't like them. He said, I'd rather be disliked than, people walking all over us and beating us. And, at the end of the day, that's the scale that black fighters is on. They grade us different. They rate us different. We not scaled or rated on a slope. Remember, teachers used to grade, they really graded on the slope now. And every now and again, when I was growing up, they graded on the slope. Like, if everybody did bad on the test, they'd put it on the slope. And basically what a slope really, grading on the slope actually meant in the classroom, and I'm going to talk about this on the Free Game 89. What grading on the slope really meant was that the teacher didn't teach it good enough. So since I didn't do my job good enough, I'm going to make I'm going to scale it down. So if you scored anywhere between a 75, I'm just throwing some numbers out, an 80 we call that an A. A 70 and a 75, we call that a B. A 60 to 70, we call that a C. Anything below a C, whatever is a D. Anything below that 60%, 59% is an F. So that's how, that's just an example on how they possibly were graded. So yeah, I had no issue when the Patriots was dominating. Everybody had a different, they rated them differently or they hated them. That's just come with the territory. When you that great and you dominate a sport like that, that's why they, you look at the NBA, they look at hopefully that Cooper Flag can be the next great American white guy that can bring white people back to watching sports. When you continue to watch something and you continue to get dominated, as a group, it's hard to watch. But it's a little bit more, better to watch when you see old people up and they dominate and they running through shit and they killing shit. So that's not a racial thing. That's just what it is. That's just sports in general. That's just a theory. That's just a theory of, ain't a theory. That's what man is. Anything on top, like they scared of the drop, they want to tear it down. So, but yeah, so, Terence, compared this up to that. But when people were saying that Jamel was on some Henry Armstrong type shit, nobody got a problem with that. At the end of the day, what they doing is slandering Terence Crawford name. He really could sue for defamation. If he really cared, he really could sue some of these print media people. He could sue them for defamation. If he really cared, because I guarantee you, if he hired a private investigator and they really investigated these, if it was that deep, no did he, investigated, he would see that it's a lot of these promoters / TV shows that's funding these people to slander his name. And they go out their way to slander another black company, allegedly go out their way to slander a black man's name, but they don't go out there and slander no non-black man. That's why I be telling y'all, man, every brother ain't a brother. Real spill. So I don't find it disrespectful at all. If anything, when somebody said, "Oh, he doing some jazz, some Henry Armstrong type stuff," that's to pay homage. And most of these guys writing the articles can't even tell you 5 or 10 opponents that Henry Armstrong fought. They can't tell you nothing about Henry Armstrong. Didn't know he held them 3 titles until they looked it up. These dudes don't never make historical references. Even in them writing their articles, they never reference past fights. Oh, this fight reminds me of when, De La Hoya went up against Pernell Whitaker. Or remind me of when Hector Camacho, upset Sugar Ray Leonard. They never come through with historical references. Never. Never. And if they do come with historical references, it's been the last 10 or 12 years. Guarantee you. They never come with it. How is it disrespectful comparing yourself to a great? He'd never hold 3 titles at once like that because of the politics. But jumping up in weight and challenging yourself, yeah, Sugar Ray Robinson would have jumped up and won a 175-pound title, but he died. He had heat exhaustion, so he couldn't come out the corner. He was going to win that fight. Outdoors. Was that in Soldier Stadium? I forget what stadium that was outside. It might have been Philly or Chicago. I want to say it was Chicago. I just, whatever. But Henry Armstrong was one of the 10 best fighters of all time. If you look at his accomplishment, he just didn't have the notoriety. I think he died in 1988 too. Or something like that. Maybe, I think it was 19, So yeah, when you start looking at some of the accomplishments that they did and how many times they fought, regardless who y'all figure the opponent was or wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at how their bodies was able to hold up, how durable they was. Wasn't all these titles. It was one face, one champion. So, at the end of the day, they want to deter and say, well, this guy, Crawford, doesn't deserve this. His resume is this. But then again, where was that at with John Ryder? Where was that at with Callum Smith? This is when you're supposed to be raising those questions. What did Callum Smith did to deserve Canelo Alvarez? What did John Ryder do to deserve Canelo Alvarez? What did Amir Khan, Josito Lopez do to deserve Canelo Alvarez? You got to ask yourself that. Why are we tearing down big fights in the sport of boxing? Now, if you tearing it down from a standpoint of, well, the size is just too much, no diddy, I could agree with you. I agree with you. But if you tearing it down from a hatred standpoint of view, because you don't want to see a fight, so you want to see another mid-level Canelo fight. Y'all want to see another mid-level Gervonta Davis fight. Y'all hating, like, that's how they paid. A lot of these writers are getting paid from these promotional companies to push. Oh, y'all don't want to see this. Y'all don't, and that's why the sport is dying. Box can easily correct itself. It can easily correct it with or without the Muhammad Ali Act. It can easily be corrected. Make the best fights, regardless of titles. The average fan don't care shit about titles. Why Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward is always remembered for their fights? Because it was historic. It was historic. So whatever this man do or say, like y'all going out y'all way to hate, but when these dudes pop high, y'all don't go out y'all way to hate. When Triple G got kicked out of Snack, they wrote a small little insert inside of an article. Dan Raphael wrote a small insert inside the article so it wouldn't make news. You can't be telling me these dudes, a lot of this shit don't be racially pushed, bro. And it really do. That's why you got ninjas like me who gonna find out, who gonna bring up the fact that Eddie Renasso, and y'all want to say whatever y'all want to say about Snack. I know one Snack fighter popped hot, and that was Willie Monroe. And that wasn't even, Victor Conti said he had shit to do with it, but who knows? But I know several Eddie Renasso fighters that pop hot, and that don't make the news. They ain't kicking in his dough with the fofo. Somebody where the drugs at. Like I continue to say, man, that's why you got so many far radical boxing channels who say, well, I'm far black, or I'm far to the side of getting money to pandering. Really, somebody need to really press these niggas, man. You know how they tried to, like Lou DiBella said they had a meeting with all the promoters back in the day. I guarantee if you put all these niggas that speak boxing in the room, y'all gonna lose a lot of respect for these fighters, these niggas, with the writers, the people that write, the people that be on the internet. I'm telling you, a lot of them niggas don't know nothing, bro. They don't know. Some of these niggas didn't snitch and they can't talk about the streets because they snitch. Some of these niggas really don't know nothing historically. Nothing currently, nothing present, nothing in the last 10 to 15 years. You know, I had somebody in the comment section, I forget what they said, man. They said something. He said, well, I disagree. You know, Frank Martin, on my take about Frank and Tank, well, Frank Martin was doing good. And I said, you don't know what you fucking watching. I knew from the first minute of that fight when Frank Martin got the bagging up versus Gervonta Davis, he lost. He wasn't going to win. He already had a retreat mindset. Frank Martin comes forward to destroy. He's already given up ground. It's a matter of time. But most people don't understand what they're watching. But hey, nonetheless, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Increase your chance to get notifications. We go live with our video. Hit the link in the description. First link. Find me everywhere. Join the Patreon. I do appreciate y'all. Check out the Boxing News playlist. Peace.